Hi, my name is Shoniqua Shandai, and this is Behind the Headshot with Zachariah Shoots.
Where are you from?
I am originally from New York, and I grew up in Virginia.
Okay, what was it like growing up in Virginia?
I'm growing up in the South. It's very beautiful. I was grateful to be able to join a Center for the Arts program in high school, so that I was able to express my creativity because there aren't a lot of resources in Richmond. Now it's a lot. We've got theater, and VCU has taken all over the place and all these amazing spaces, but as a youth growing up there, I felt very smothered and unable to express.
Why was that?
Because it's the South. And I'm a dark-skinned, curvy woman growing up in the 90s. So yeah, anybody who was other was told to just not speak, was silenced as much as possible. In Virginia, we have this beautiful area of the city called Monument Avenue that is a place of celebration to all Confederate soldiers and people who are in favor of keeping slavery. So that's pretty much the feel of what it is to be in Virginia. It's a lot of Black people, but because it's literally the first colony was built there, a lot of old, violent and oppressive mindsets are still still implemented and still very actively a part of politics and government in Virginia.
How long have you lived in LA?
I've been in LA about 16 years now. I moved out here in 2007. Literally a week after I graduated from high school, my family and I took the road trip to LA.
Wow, That's amazing. What made you move initially?
I wanted to move because I wanted to be in the next B2K movie. And in order to do that, I had to go where they were. Now, I wanted to act. I wanted to perform. And originally being from New York, the plan was always to go to New York. But then I came out and visited colleges in New York and Los Angeles. And mostly I fell in love with the weather. I think it's very hard to be cute when you're shivering. And so LA won me over.
How long have you been acting and how did you get your start?
I've been acting since I was a little girl. My grandmother was an off Broadway writer. So I've been in her plays and church plays, and then I went to a Center for Arts program in high school and joined Comedy Sports, which is this improv league that has chapters all over the country, but professionally, I began acting in 2008, right after I graduated from school. And my first start, the first thing I ever did was a stage reading of a play called The Recipe for Hot Biscuits and Blues. I got my SAG card by being a background in a J-Lo movie, The Backup Plan, where I played a pregnant woman. And now people know me for Harlem, which is on Amazon Prime. So a lot of people will say that's my start, but she's been acting for a minute now.
Would you say that you've always wanted to be an actor since you were a child?
I have always wanted to be a performer. I don't limit that to acting. It's singing and acting and dancing and expressing. I've always been someone who found my outlet, my voice in art. So yeah, I've been telling stories, literally making up stories since I was a child. I used to be a little bit of a fibber for no reason. It wouldn't be like you asked me if I did something wrong and I would lie about it. No, I would randomly create a story for no reason, but for my own entertainment. So yeah, that was a little problematic. For no reason. It has nothing to do with nothing. I remember I was in like the 4th grade. I made a story about getting attacked by squirrels. Just like random stuff. My imagination was very active, and the stage provided a source.
What is something that you wish people knew about you?
What is something I wish people knew about me? I wish people knew how shy I actually am, how introverted I am. I think because I dress the way that I do, it's a little performative. My name is Shoniqua Shandai. I play loud, rambunctious characters. But that stuff be draining. I am very, very shy. I don't speak up often. I don't like going out. Like, the people who know me best, who I love, are the people that I'm safe to be boring around, who I'm safe to be quiet around, who I feel like don't expect me to perform. So I'm able to be myself. A lot of, people specifically, it's just this need, especially I think also just being a Black woman, there's like a need or a request from your environment to perform, to make other people feel comfortable, to make other people feel entertained, and even to be able to be allowed in the space. Like the way of paying for your step in the door is to being someone who can make you laugh or have something to offer. And I really genuinely appreciate the people and the spaces where I don't have to do that.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a beautiful little sister. Her name is Niana. She is in fashion and she's also doing my publicity right now. We're gonna see how that go. And then also I have 2 other sisters on my father's side named Shaquasia and Maisha, but mainly I grew up with my sister Niana, and that's my little baby.
How important is family to you?
Family is everything. My mom is my manager. My mom is my best friend. Because I spend a lot of time performing and wearing a mask in public, those people who know me and allow me to be my authentic selves matter the most to me. So even friends, I have become family members, and I have a very, very, very small few, but it's real and true. And I think it's important to keep people around you who feel you, especially when you are a light, when you are on this earth to encourage others or pour or be generous or just be of support to others. It's important to have people who pour back into you, and my family do that for me. They are my support systems and my biggest cheerleaders when I don't believe in myself. So family is everything. Family is lifeblood.
Do you have any fears or doubts before you moved out here and had this amazing acting journey?
Absolutely not. I had 0 fears. I moved out here when I was 17. 17, you ain't got no fears. You are completely entitled to everything. You are invincible. You don't even think you can die, or death does not exist. Like, failure does not exist. I just knew I was going to move out here and be in the next Bow Wow movie as soon as possible. There were no fears whatsoever. Now, as I grew up, yes, but moving out here, no, you could not tell me. I thought it was gonna happen faster than what it did.
How did you maintain that energy as you continued on your acting journey and realized it wasn't going to be as easy as you thought?
A couple of reasons, couple things kept me encouraged. One is my family was here. I moved out here at 17, so my mom and my sister, we all moved together. So I had people readily available to fill my cup if I should ever forget what the purpose was. I couldn't imagine myself going back, and there really was no place to go back to because my family came with me. So I didn't have that net of safety. Also, it's interesting that you mentioned that though, because I went through a period very recently where I felt deflated, yes. And that I've always been a dreamer. I've always been very crystal clear in my vision for myself. But some things happened that kind of like took the winds out of my sails and made me forget what that was. And I had to talk back with my mom And we remembered how it was when we first got out here, how audacious we were, and how ignorance, honestly, truly not being knowledgeable of the system can be a benefit to you, because when you don't know what the process is, you're willing to skip it. And I've knocked on casting a couple of my friends, we would just go knock on casting directors' doors. I remember we went searching for John Singleton's office in Inglewood because we heard he had an office, and we dedicated a day to that. And I fly his gear looking for John Singleton in Crenshaw. I did a festival, an independent film I was in called Bodied, which was produced by Eminem. Made it to festivals, and I would call the festivals on my own behalf, skipping the PR, publicity, public relations process, and kind of like, not demand, but ask if they would be willing to put me up since my film was there. And these are things now, as a more knowledgeable, informed professional, that you just do not do. You have your people, you have to hire other people to do all of these things, but being out here and being green and just being hustlers it just provided such a beautiful adrenaline and enthusiasm that I missed. That being a part of the system and the professionalism and learning all of these things and having all of these new roles be introduced to me that weren't growing the way that I wanted. The agent, the manager, the public relations, the stylist, like all of these teams of people that they say you need, it kind of threw me for a minute, and so many voices telling me what I should and shouldn't do kind of made me forget my purpose and my drive and the path that I was on. And so just remembering, taking that moment to reflect about how it was when we were green, when we didn't have no team, when we were just out here hungry and getting it, and just thinking about the creative ways we were able to make things happen for ourselves was so inspiring for me. So I think it's a good way that allowed me to stay encouraged. Is also reflect on, sometimes you gotta like pat yourself on the back on the ways that you've conquered, and remind yourself the ways that you've got through, and then that will give you enough faith to move on to the next thing.
Do you ever miss those days when you were just out here hustling?
I do. I find, I miss how courageous that woman was, that young girl was. I miss how bold she was, and country. And I don't miss how sassy, because I was so sassy, and I still be sassy sometimes, but goodness gracious, I think about some of the things I said and I was like, but yes, I miss just the excitement of it all. And I find that because work also came easier when you're willing to work for free. So when you're working for free, you're working all the time. And I just miss the collaborative spirit too of that time. Like back then, it was so many of us who were grinding, and you get separated in the industry, and everyone kind of gets into focusing on their gig, that you no longer collaborate and just get together just for acting's sake. Acting can be such a like solo experience, so I do miss like the friendships and the camaraderie and just the little bit of a little rat pack we had together in that time. But I love where I am now as well.
Who would you love to collaborate with in the future?
Honey, Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter. That is who I would love to collaborate. She is a genius. Everything she touches is like brilliant. She produces on stage, and I'm talking like literal musicals she's produced, and then also the films, and then now we're also being able to see her cultivate younger artists, and just her work ethic is out of this world. She constantly inspires me. We were just talking about how this new social media gift box things were honestly is something that was created and came out of the brainchild of Ivy Park, and just she's so incredibly innovative, the way she's changed music, period. Now you must have a visual to go with your song when you release it, because Beyonce dropped a whole album of videos. That's something she completely shifted a whole industry on by herself, a Black woman. And she's done all of this while wearing cornrows in her hair, talking about hot sauce in her bag, having thick thighs and double D's. And it's just like, I've never seen her dilute her Blackness, change her accent, shift anything about that, about her kinky hair. And she might wear a blonde wig but at the end of the day, she comes out with kinky hair as well. And I just love everything that she represents. And I honestly, in any capacity, from writing a song, from music to a musical to something she produced to even being able to touch Chloe, I want to collaborate with Beyonce.
Talk about music. Talk about how your music, first of all, how'd you get started in music?
So my grandmother used to sing Home to Me from The Wiz all the time. And I always felt like, well, I realize now what resonates so much to me, I think, and with everyone with music, it's just like the highest form of communication. Like, you can have information that you're supposed to remember that is so important and dire to you, but can't recall it all. But songs that you hated from 25 years ago, it's like stuck in your DNA.
Talk about your new song, Something About You.
So Something About You came to me right before the pandemic, right before I booked Harlem season 1, just the chorus and some of the first verse. I've always felt like, or grew up, unfortunately, with the guise that Black women couldn't have it all. You either had to be like successful and focused, or you were a loving partner and married and you didn't have a career. And now, thankfully, that is not true. I've seen like living examples of that all surrounding me constantly. And I also believe that I can have everything I want. And so with that shift in mindset, I wanted to write a song that with a man who made me feel like I could have everything, that the goals of my career goals I have been focusing would not be sacrificed with the presence of love. And that is what Something About You is about. This beautiful, amazing man with just something special comes along and makes this very busy woman feel like she can prioritize love as well.
I love that. And Megan Good directed the music video.
Yes! I'm so grateful for the Megan Good. So I've been a singing spirit for a very long time, but so scared to do it with self-doubt and bullying and just a lot of self-doubt. And then I went to a predominantly white music program where I couldn't hear my voice or wasn't really sure what my voice was in that world. So I had been sitting on Something About You for about maybe 2 years before it was officially released. And I had like thrown a hint at Megan when we were at her birthday. I was like, what you doing in December? She's like, whatever you want me to do. And it's like, and it's Megan Good, okay? Like the icon, my hero, Megan Good. And I'm like, okay. And then I mentioned it a couple of months later because I'm too shy to actually send it to her. I'm like, Megan, do you want to direct my video? She's like, yes, anything you want. And I'm like, okay. So I finally was brave enough to send it to her. And I genuinely thought she was gonna like just give me notes and be like, all right, girl, I'll hit you on the next track. Like, this is, you know. But my sister immediately was like, yes. We sent like storyboard ideas immediately, sent her DP to come record stuff, and just it propelled it. And even down to like the release, I was still so much fear and self-doubt, was still trying to hold it back from releasing it. But I'm like, when you have Megan Good saying she believes in you, supporting you, like who are you not to believe in yourself? So I'm just so grateful for that angel that God sent to get me out of my own way and begin this process of music, to begin this beautiful journey of music. And what more special than someone I have studied and loved since I was a child. Because she's been doing it since she was a child. So yeah, Megan Good is an angel.
How did you get Harlem? How did that come about?
How did I get Harlem? I had done a couple of pilots prior. And pilots, for people who don't know, I feel like everybody watching the behind the headshots probably know, but pilots is the first episode of a series, and it's usually a network's test. So you book a pilot and you film it, and then you have to wait until like April to see if it goes. And so that had happened to me about 3 times. Once with ABC. The second one was one that was not associated with a network. And then the third one was an Amazon series. So that's how I got into Amazon and like kind of got known by them, favored by them, because I'd done a Amazon pilot for them prior that was really good. And just, you know, once you get friends in the industry, they take, you know, they take your work more seriously. And so I heard about the audition for Harlem and immediately recognized this woman. I was like, oh, this is Jennifer Lewis. This is my grandmother. This is my aunties, my cousins, and parts of me. And so honestly, Angie was easy. Angie was very easy. The singing part was scary because I hadn't quite passed the Something About You milestone yet. But what's so divine and supernatural about God is that he will give you he will put you where he wants to put you and push you in the ways that he wants to push you. Literally every role that I've done in my career that has propelled me has been music related, in spite of me saying I'm terrified to sing. Like I've been in musicals, and even down to that last Amazon pilot, I was playing a DJ and I played rappers, and it's just like God's like, girl, you gonna sing. So I went into the audition, I sang and acted, and then the second one I sang and I acted, and then they did the test, and from the test I was on hold for about 2 months, and while they went to go see other women in New York, and then finally I came in for another test with Megan Good, Jerry Johnson, Grace Byers, who those two had already booked it by then, and it was meant to be. So Harlem was bits of pieces of me that have already been being worked on prior. That's why I always say, like, whatever comes to you is so specifically and uniquely created for you that no one else can do it. Because I had been working on Angie, and the parts of me that needed to learn from Angie were in very dire need of help. So Angie definitely helped heal some areas of me, helped grow some parts of me, and introduce me to some relationships that I know that I will hold on to the rest of my life.
Yeah, it seems like you have a real sisterhood with your sisters on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. How true to real life versus the show is your sisterhood in real life?
Oh, I think, I won't say it's deeper because those girls they've been best friends since college. But I am in the midst of something I prayed for and didn't realize that God would bless it times 10. I wrote down a list of 5 things that I wanted in a show. I remember I was a couple of years back on my mama's couch and being Angie on my mama's couch, the broke artist, and I was crying to my friend who is now a pastor. And she was like, you need to be specific as in to what you want. And I was like, girl, I want a show. Duh. She's like, no, be more specific. This is your father talking. She's very, very passionate pastor. And I wrote down out of the 5 things I wrote down, well, all of them is in there. New York, Black women, music related, fashion, and prayer. And the reason why I mentioned that to these questions is because we pray together. And like literally start the show praying together and end the show praying together, but also pray for each other when we're not there. That's how deep the connection is. I prayed for Megan, Grace, and Jerry, and I know that Grace and Jerry and Megan pray for me. Like, these are my sisters, so much so that this woman who has this incredible catalog decided to bless me with her directing my music video. Grace is love, and Jerry is fun and light, and I got so gifted and so blessed with the people I work with, and I think it starts with the head. Tracy Oliver is incredibly kind, incredibly generous. So yeah, it runs deep, and it's true.
How important is faith in your life and in your career?
Faith is everything. There's so much not knowing in acting and so much rejection in acting that you have to have faith in order to keep going. Like even down to the road of how to start it, it's not very clear. It's not like other fields where you go to school, graduate from college, interview, and you get a job and you're set for life, and you do a promotion and like there's steps and processes in other fields that are not guaranteed in the arts, period. So I think to be an artist requires faith in yourself, in your artistry, in the unknowing and spontaneity of the process, in the moments of rejection, having faith in yourself to keep going, to persevere, the resilience. And even if you don't believe in God, you might call it resilience and perseverance, but that is faith, So yeah, I don't think it's possible to be an artist without needing faith, because there's so much of this process of this beautiful artistry and industry that we don't understand, that we can't see. There's people who require betting on you in rooms that you have no idea, and calls that need to be made when you're not there, and all of that is things you can't see. So you have to believe and trust that someone is watching your work and will love. So all of it is very spiritual. I don't know how you can be an artist and not have a connection with spirit and faith, because there's so many unknown aspects to it that you have to be hopeful for and trust in the work that you've done. Down to leaving an audition, you got to trust and believe that everything you did was good enough, and have faith in your performance and leave it there. There's just so much spiritual aspects to being an artist that I can't imagine doing it without faith.
What words of advice would you give your 15-year-old self?
15, hold on, I gotta think, that's very specific. Well, okay, clearly I was in high school. I was in my sophomore year. Oh, I got you. Sophomore year of high school, because that's very important. Because my freshman year, I spent the whole year hiding because I had been severely bullied my 8th grade year. So my 14, 13 years old, I was so bullied that my freshman year of high school, I decided to only wear black and gray and sweatpants and wear hats. And I just wanted to not be seen as much as possible because I had been so tormented. So to my 15-year-old self, I would say that's when she started wearing heels every day and wearing colors every day, and deciding that I learned from my freshman year that people are gonna talk about you regardless. So you might as well be yourself. And so what I would tell my 15-year-old self is to bet on yourself, take up all the space, do exactly what you're doing, believe in you, but then multiply that by 100, because you're going to need all of the self-assurance and all of the self-confidence to take on this world as a Black woman. And you learned that lesson as a freshman in an 8th grade. But girl, go further. Wear glitter every day, right on the walls, not necessarily right on the walls, but right on the walls of the school with your vibrance, with your radiance. Paint every room in the color Shoniqua. Take up every space. Go in the room and change every atmosphere, because you are that great. Continue to believe in you, girl, but just take that thing and run 5 miles forward. And you can never be too, you can't be too cocky, but you can't be too cocky. Keep going, sis. That's what I would say.
How do you feel about social media?
Social media is a gift and a curse. I will talk about the gift of it all, which is being able to have access to people and that you would have to go through people's and agents or be in certain rooms And you don't have to do that with social media. You can literally slide into Issa Rae's DMs. Not saying everybody do that, but I mean, that's just like the access it offers. Social media also provides a beautiful canvas for the artist that you don't have to depend on other people or a whole network or a studio to present your work. You can literally create your own short films post them on YouTube or Instagram and deliver beautiful art and poems and then also, of course, again, have access to all of this beautiful art, all of this amazing wisdom, all of this knowledge and literature and lectures that you wouldn't be able to. It's such a wonderful opportunity to grow and develop as an artist. I think the negatives of it is that there's a lot of comparison offered with social media. You can see the highlights of people's lives and think that you aren't great, or no one just like kind of shows their boring day. Everything is like, I'm on a yacht or I'm on the set, and it's like, well, wait a minute, because I got days off, and so if on your day off you feel unproductive or like you're not my life was boring because you're not out here partying under disco balls. So I would say ignore the comparisons of it. And then also just like oh my gosh, you have to be so specific about your screen time, because you can lose hours of your day just scrolling, and it becomes, and I really worry about the next generation, because I look at my younger cousins who are like 10 and 13, and they literally watch YouTube videos of TikTok videos all day. Like, that's their free time. It's just 15-second, 30-second videos on the big screen. So you're not getting the development of, like, not saying TVs, but at least like you get plot lines and there's mystery and things to figure out and documentaries and read a book. But they're literally just watching 15-second videos, and I don't know what that's going to do to their attention span coming up. So those are my fears surrounding social media. But I think that just also like takes an active parent being like, you gotta utilize your time a little bit better. It takes discipline to say, actually go read a book or go outside, rather than watching Twitch and Snapchat and TikTok videos on YouTube for hour-long spans. Like, they watch it like it's a series. So those are my cons regarding social media.
What should they watch instead of YouTube?
Well, they're too young to watch Harlem. But tell your parents to watch Harlem on Amazon Prime. I feel like kids should be outside. I think they should be out getting social experiences with other children. I think they should be out seeing the world. I think it's never too early for your kids to travel or even go to a park or a museum. I think kids should be stimulated with things that are out in real life, rather than most of their stimulants coming from a screen. Or read a book, create some art, do a fun experiment, rather than watching screens.
All right, Shoniqua, and what should people be looking out for with you this year?
Harlem Season 2 drops this year on Amazon Prime, February 3rd. But we're dropping 2 episodes a week, so we'll be all up through your February. I have a song out called Something About You with a music video directed by the incredible Megan Good, and has some awesome star cameos with Isaac Keys from the Power Book series, and Jackie Long, and Lori Swank, and Chastity. So we've got some, did I call her Chastity? Her name is Charity. I'm so sorry. Is her name Charity or Chastity? Lord God, now I've confused myself. But she's beautiful. And also, you can, get some more music coming very soon. And yeah, she's out here speaking at panels and taking up space and being gentle to herself.
Amazing. Thank you, Shoniqua.
Thank you.